It's a mild Tuesday evening out there. We're still hanging on to 90s, believe it or not, across the western zone, 92 degrees and getting 86 in Rockdale. We're sitting at 86 in Bryan College Station, average low 74 degrees. So we're not really going to cool off to that average low, unfortunately. 88 degrees in San Antonio, 94 in Del Rio. Dealing with a few showers across southeastern Texas. These are the remnants of Marco. Not expecting any of that activity work its way in the Brazos Valley, though. We are going to see some impacts from Laura as we head into late tomorrow, early Thursday. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. The latest on Laura from the National Hurricane Center indicates it's continuing to intensify, winds of 90 miles per hour. So a borderline Category 2 hurricane continuing to work its way off toward the west-northwest at 17 miles per hour. A rather rapid pace, and that pace and motion going to continue over the next 12 to 24 hours, gradually working off more toward the northeast as we head into early parts of Thursday morning. Now, as Laura approaches the Texas-Louisiana coast, going to become a Category 3 hurricane, a strong Category 3 hurricane. Can't completely rule out a Category 4 hurricane before making landfall somewhere near the Louisiana-Texas line early Thursday morning. Going to remain a hurricane, even moving far inland as we head into early Thursday morning. So a lot of people going to see some significant impacts from this. The good news is the Hurricane Center has kind of shifted this just a touch farther east with this latest update, but we can't completely let our guard down in the Brazos Valley. The cone does extend a little bit farther west, and there are a couple outliers, a couple models showing this system going to continue to work a little bit farther west, and that would kind of increase the impacts here across the Brazos Valley. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on that, but the general consensus is that it's going to make landfall near the Texas-Louisiana border as we head into early Thursday morning. It's also important to note that there is a little bit of uncertainty with the exact track. Typically, if we can get this graphic to pop up here, typically with the National Hurricane Center's forecast, there is a little bit of margin for error. So the average track error is about 60 miles at 36 hours. So as it's making landfall early Thursday morning, it's possible that the track could be just a little bit farther toward the west, and that would kind of increase the hazards across our area, but also it could shift a little bit farther east and completely eliminate the hazards across the Brazos Valley, other than some dry, gusty winds and kind of pumping up those temperatures. This is something we're going to keep a close eye on over the next 12 to 24 hours. We're going to watch every wobble of this system to see just how far west or how far east Laura continues to nudge over the next 12 to 24 hours. Breaking down the impacts across the Brazos Valley, a pretty tight gradient from west to east. Western zone has a low chance to see impacts, so just low impacts, 10, 20 mile per hour winds, maybe a 25 mile per hour wind gust, some light rain, quarter of an inch of rain. Not really going to see too many impacts there other than some breezy conditions. Now we start to bump up the impacts as we get across central parts of the area. 25, 35 mile per hour wind gust a possibility. Can't rule out a 40 mile per hour wind gust, but most of the wind should remain below 40 miles per hour. Could see up to half an inch of rain. High impact zone going to be eastern parts of the area toward the I-45 corridor. Could see winds 40, 50, 60 miles per hour out here, well above tropical storm force, and some heavy rain, especially east of I-45. Could see 4 or 5 inches of rain, but it really depends on the track. So if the track is just a little bit farther east, well, we can shift these impacts a little bit farther east, but if it tracks a little farther west, well, we may need to nudge the high and moderate impacts just a little bit farther west. So continue to keep checking back, because this is an extremely fluid forecast right now. A lot of changes expected over the next 12 to 24 hours. Complete different story for southeastern Texas. There's a hurricane warning down there. Now, we do have a tropical storm watch for the entire eastern part of the Brazos Valley. So this tropical storm warning means that we're expecting some strong winds out there within the next 36 hours as Laura continues to work her way toward the Texas-Louisiana coast. Could see winds in the extreme cases up to 73 miles per hour. And of course, southeastern Texas is going to see some greater impacts under that hurricane warning. And the reason why we have the tropical storm warnings in effect for the entire eastern zone is because the wind field extends far out beyond the actual center, 175 miles outside of the center. So even with the track across far eastern Texas, maybe western Louisiana, we're going to see that wind field expand into eastern parts of the Brazos Valley. That's why we have those tropical storm warnings in effect, and of course hurricane warnings as you get towards southeastern parts of Texas. Those will continue until farther notice. Let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into the winds. It's going to get pretty windy as we head into the overnight hours tomorrow, especially Thursday morning. The eastern zone has that best chance to see the tropical storm force winds. Some winds in excess of 50 miles per hour. It really starts to die out though as we head into latter parts of Thursday. So by the afternoon hours, maybe just a 10 to 15 mile per hour breeze out there. Heaviest rain going to be east of the Brazos Valley, but our eastern zone does have a shot to pick up 1 to 4 inches of rain, especially along the I-45 corridor. Really seeing decreasing rain chances as you head across western parts of our area. Just some feeder bands kind of feeding in. Taking a look at that future radar, we do see the isolated showers and storms working their way on periodically throughout the day tomorrow. And then as Laura makes landfall early Thursday morning, it does scrape our eastern zone with some heavy rain and gusty winds. Ultimately, though, we're going to see mainly gusty winds out there from Laura, but the eastern zone has that best shot to see the heavy rain. Stay tuned. More KAGS after the break.